Welcome to our channel, Million Dollars Made Easy. On this channel, we help people know their numbers. And I get requests. I got this request from somebody. They're 28 years old. They have 90,000 saved, which I love catching people when they're young and almost have that 100,000 saved already that Charlie Munger mentioned. They save 22.50 a month. Their monthly expenses in today's dollars are 5,000, and they want to know, can they retire at age 59 and a half? Now, what we do on this channel is we use the returns, actual returns. We have 100 years worth of data for the S&P 500, and we simply project ahead what some returns might do in the future, and we come up with a wide possible range of what may happen. This is one of the spreadsheets that we use on this channel. So we got the 90,000 that they currently have. They're 28 years old. They're saving 22.50 a month, so you can see the 22.50 going down through there. If we use numbers from 1987, you can see it going down through here. And why did I pick 1987? Because 1987 is the worst case scenario on the last 100 years. This is 32 years. They're age 28. I'm going to take it at age 60. I can't do 59 and a half, so we're going to look at 60. The worst set of returns for a 32-year period would be using numbers from 1987. And if we did that, they would have 6.366 million when they start withdrawing these sums. We'll look at that in just a minute here. So what we've done here is run the numbers for every single year. We're looking at a 32-year period. They're 28, so we're looking at the age 60. They will have put in 954,000. And using 1987 numbers, this is the worst case scenario to have 6.366 million. The median for the last 100 years for a 32-year period have 9.172, and the best case scenario to have 21 million. So that's that wide range. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to figure it's probably going to be within this range, not any worse than the worst case scenario in the last 100 years. This is the actual breakdown of how much you would have. I like to color code it. 100% of the time, you'd be over $5 million color-coded in green. 43% of the time, color-coded in blue, you'd have over 10 million. And 10% of the time, color-coded in gold, you actually have over $15 million. Again, this is looking at when they're age 62, projecting ahead what similar returns would do for them. This is how many times they'd reach these different milestones. Now, what would the value of these dollar amounts be? We always want to take into account inflation. I just use a 3% inflation rate. And this rectangle up here, it gives you the buying power in today's dollars of what these amounts would have 32 years from now. So there's 6.366. Again, that's the worst case scenario using 1987 numbers. That would have the buying power of $2.472 million in today's dollars for buying power. Now, does that really help much? Again, they want to know, can they retire at age 59 and a half? Again, we're using 60 that's the closest numbers I can use. But they want to know if they have expenses of 5,000 a month in today's dollars, how would that look? So we're going to go back to this spreadsheet. $90,000, $22.50 a month. They're age 28. They're getting $4,000 from Social Security. These are $5,000 in future expenses. Here's the 1987 numbers. This is at age 60. Remember, they're not going to take Social Security at age 62. So those initial couple of years, this $5,000 in buying power, you need $12,875. So we're knocking that down. And finally, when they turn 62, this is 61, 62. Finally, when they start taking Social Security, they're going to need $7,177. How do we come up with those numbers? Here's the 5,000, what that would grow to in the next 34 years in buying power. To have $5,000, they need $13,660. Social Security, they're getting $4,000. That's growing. We're going to grow that at 2.5% COLA. That's what it was this year. So if they took it at age 67, they'd get this kind of amount. But they're taking it at age 62, so they're going to get 70% of that amount. All that to say, these are the future expenses estimated. This is a future Social Security estimated. They're going to need this kind of money, so they're going to start taking out $7,177. These are the numbers they would have after these time periods. Folks, remember what we said. This is the worst case scenario. Second worst would be 8,175,000. And I always like to do the 95% column, kind of throwing out the 5% worst case scenarios because those are really outliers. In that case, you'd have 8.442 million, and the median would be 11 million. The best case scenario, 24 million, given these numbers. But that's what we love to do for people. We just love to run numbers. Can they retire at age 59 and a half? According to the numbers, according to using these numbers, 100 years worth of data, they're going to have no problem. They're going to be in great shape. They can easily retire at age 59 and a half and have these kind of numbers to look forward to. Again, using 1987, the worst case scenario, you can see it going down through here, what they would have. And again, we got to look at 32-year column. So let's look at the 32-year column. Right here, there's a 6,366,20. This is, again, the worst case scenario in the last 100 years. And in that next year after they retire, they're going to be taking 12,875 from their nest egg. And then this one should really be changed to 7177. I'm kind of using two spreadsheets at once. 7177 would be what they'd be taken out. And that would be increasing by a COLA. We increase it by 3% COLA. So these are the actual numbers going down through here, folks. Using 1987 numbers, which we saw that was the worst set of years for the last 100 years for a 32-year period. And you can see the numbers going down through here. The years are changing because each of these years become the new worst case scenario, depending on what happens with these numbers right here. But again, that's what we do on this channel. You can see it just grows and grows and grows. Of course, we haven't had 39 years since 1987. But anyway, this shows you they're going to have millions of dollars once they reach retirement. It's going to easily be able to withdraw the 7,777 grown by a 3% COLA. These are the kind of numbers. This is the worst case scenario, the second worst case scenario. 95% of the time they have these kind of numbers. The median, we'd have these kind of numbers. And the highest, you have these kind of numbers. It just shows you they're going to be in great shape, taking into account Social Security, taking into account inflation and the future needs that they would have. But please consider subscribing to the channel. We just love running numbers for people. We're all on this financial journey together. All of us want to end up with a comfortable retirement. None of us want to work any longer than we need to in order to reach this comfortable retirement. And in their case, these people can easily retire at 59 and a half, and if these are their monthly expenses. But please consider subscribing to the channel. Please let people know about this channel. Let them know we run numbers. Sometimes it gets a little bit complicated, but I've set up these spreadsheets, all kinds of different spreadsheets to use to show people. If you want to just play around with a spreadsheet you can find online, you go to 4% rule and move around all these different variables, and you can play with it. It shows you when your money runs out and everything. It's kind of interesting, but it just gives you a one shot. This one shows you on these spreadsheets, they show you 100 years worth of data. So that's what we like to do. So again, please consider subscribing. Please like the video. Please share with others. And thanks so much for watching.